Now, a global treaty to combat plastic pollution is under discussion. As scientists warn, it's delusional to ignore the impact the material has on human health. It follows the release of a new documentary exploring the first discovery of plastics in the brain. Well, let's talk about this issue a little bit further. Co-founder of the Plastic Health Council and A Plastic Planet, Sian Sutherland, joins me now. Very good morning to you. Thanks for talking to us. First of all, global talks are underway in South Korea, aren't they, to try and hammer out this treaty to cut plastic pollution around the world. I know this is something that you feel strongly about. Tell me why you think it's so important.
This treaty is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us to create something that protects not only our generation, not only every living thing on the planet, but also future generations of the impact of the harm of plastics and the chemicals that we use to make plastics. So we need to remember that plastic is so much more than just a material. Plastic is actually at the epicenter. It's the gateway to so much of our global challenges. You look at the impact on biodiversity, we all know. And thank you, Sky, particularly for your Sky Ocean Rescue campaign some 6-7 years ago. And here we are, still nothing is changing. You look at the carbon impact of plastic. As a country, it's the 5th biggest emitter of greenhouse gases in the world. So plastic is not light in carbon, as many plastic lovers will tell you. And then finally, you look at the impact on human health. There are 16,000 chemicals used to make plastic. 6%, only 6% of those are globally regulated. 4,000 of the chemicals that have been tested for impact on human health are considered chemicals of extreme concern by the commissions of Europe. So we need to be very aware of this. And that's why we're so excited that finally we have this global plastic treaty being negotiated. But I got to tell you, Anna, it is not going well. And this is a treaty that should be protecting us, and at the moment it is not.
Yeah, a lot of people watching very closely to see how those talks do progress in the days ahead. But I want to come back to this issue of human health, because I think a lot of people will be familiar with pictures of plastic washed up on remote beaches, or even swimming themselves in the sea and seeing plastic. But away from the environment, tell me a little bit more about the impact on human health. You talked about 4,000 chemicals being harmful to human health that are contained in plastic. So give us an idea of what that could do to you.
So plastic in itself is not a material that you find on the periodic table. It's a mixture of chemicals. Many of them are known to be toxic. And when we use plastic, particularly in things like polyester clothing, remember 70% of all our clothing is now made out of fossil fuel plastic in the form of polyester. It's shedding. So we are not only eating plastic through the food chain, we're not only drinking it through our water. And bear in mind the recent study of 240,000 micro nanoplastics found in a litre plastic bottle of water, but we're also inhaling it. And that was the event that we held in Busan in South Korea only this morning, which was one of our scientists from the Plastic Health Council, Professor Tice Maud, presenting her research on the fact that because our nose, obviously, we're breathing in through our nose as well as our mouth. As we're breathing in through the nose, we're inhaling nanoplastics, microfibers of plastic, and they're going straight into our olfactory bulb, which is situated in our brain. So we already know that there is plastic in our blood, there's plastic in placenta, there's plastic found in an unborn baby's brain now. It's everywhere in our bodies, it's in our blood. But here's another way now that we've just discovered that we are inhaling it direct from our nose, straight into the olfactory bulb, into our brain. You will be well aware of the increase in cancer, particularly in young people, cognitive disorders. There is a massive decline in fertility. Male fertility is down 53%. And the chemicals in plastic are known as endocrine disruptors. So the endocrine system is your hormone signaling system, tells your body exactly how to behave all of the time. It tells your body how to grow and how to be. And if we disrupt it, it has terrible consequences on human health. And we can now start to see these numbers, these illnesses. Plastic, they are now proving, influences your metabolic system. There are metabolic disrupting chemicals as well as endocrine disrupting chemicals. So we're now actually disrupting our metabolism. We also know about the increase in obesity. So the health scientists are linking these things together, saying there is no coincidence that the massive ramp up of us using plastic as the default for everything, the paint on the walls in my room, the varnish on the floor here, not just the clothing and the packaging, it's everywhere, and the increase in illnesses that we can see in humans.
So it's clear that you feel very passionately about this. There'll be plastic producers who will be defending their corner as well, no doubt. Trying to take part in those talks at least, or trying to influence those talks in South Korea. They would say that the emphasis shouldn't be on cutting production, but on waste management. A quick thought on that and whether or not you think an agreement will be reached.
We need to talk about recycling very quickly. Recycling plastic is not happening. The number is very well known. Globally, we've recycled 9% of our plastic. In the US, they recycle less than 5% in the US. In the UK, we export 60% of our plastic waste for other countries to deal with. This is waste imperialism on a huge scale. So we need to stop pretending that plastic recycling is the answer. The fossil fuel industry, aka big plastic, wants us to focus on that end of the pipe, the waste. This is not a waste issue. It's a production issue. It's a design issue. It's the wrong use of a toxic, indestructible material. So we need to focus on the tap. Right now, big oil are focusing on plastic as their plan B. So they want to increase plastic production threefold in the next 20 years. So as human beings who care about human health and the environment, but ultimately we care about ourselves, we need to wake up and we need to stop this happening. And governments need to legislate to protect us. And finally, on the UN treaty, I would love to think this is the last negotiating session. I kind of doubt it, because we would rather not have a treaty than have a treaty that doesn't protect us. So thank you so much for covering this.
OK. Sian Sutherland, we